Alright, hello everyone, and today I got a special treat for you all. So, 2 days ago I went up into Orlando and I actually was able to drive for the very first time the Kingdom Hearts 3 demo, which consisted of Olympus Coliseum as well as the Toy Box demo. Now, I've been wanting to really test out the demo since the demo's been out in many different establishments across the world, and it finally came to Disney Springs way back in December, and so I felt like this was my opportunity to finally try it out. The opportunity came and I took it, and so I finally was able to try Kingdom Hearts 3 for the very first time this past Friday. And this is basically what the video is about. I'm going to basically talk about my experience at the event, and then obviously I'm really into talking about the demos themselves, which fortunately I was able to get a good amount of gameplay, and I got to play each demo at least 4 times, so I was able to test out different things as well as find out things I didn't see previously, which every time I play, I did find out something new about the demos and the possibility of what's going to be in Kingdom Hearts 3. So, first off, the actual establishment itself of the Kingdom Hearts 3 pop-up experience at Disney Springs was pretty cool. Honestly, as soon as before I even walked in, I saw the Keyblades on display, and I honestly choked up a little bit of the sight of seeing the Toy Story Keyblade on display, along with the Kingdom Key and the another Kingdom Hearts original Keyblade. I forgot what the name of it is, but it was really nice to see them, as well as the big giant posters of the box art, some of the characters such as Sora, Riku, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy there, as well as them displaying all the worlds that we will be visiting in Kingdom Hearts 3 was definitely a treat to see, as well as all the stuff that you could pre-order from the Square store off in glass cases, seeing the deluxe edition for Kingdom Hearts 3, seeing all the figures, the lanyard, the art book that comes with the deluxe edition. Everything in there was phenomenal, and the staff there were very kind and kept things at an orderly pace. Now, I went around Friday afternoonish, around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and fortunately when I was there was not that many people there. There was like no line, so I walked in, I signed up. It took around like 5 minutes. So I decided for all my demos that I was go onto the PlayStation demo area. Since that was the console I was going to play the game on, I might as well play with the controls. So, was able to get to play more or less. So let's get on to the gameplay aspect of it. So, let's talk about the first demo that I tried, which was the Olympus demo, based off the Hercules movie. Extremely short demo, somewhere between like 7 to 10 minutes long. Depending on how fast you do, you can probably do even faster than that. If you know what you're doing, probably doing it in 5 minutes. I did replay that one, but just to sort of play both demos as much as possible. But that demo was probably the one that gave me the least information. But what I did manage to, it was obviously the first time me playing Kingdom Hearts 3 at all, for the first time. So, it was on my first take of it, and I had a grin on my face, I'm not gonna lie. First thing I got to sort of test out was the wall running mechanic, which was originally going to be just an Olympus exclusive thing, but they decided to add it to all the worlds. So running up a wall in Kingdom Hearts 3 still feels a bit stiff. In my opinion, it's not too bad, because they honestly didn't throw many obstacles in your way when going up a wall to face the Rock Titan. But you know, flicking from left to right is pretty instant, but also at the same time not too natural. It's a bit just snappy. So depending on whether or not you know, think that's good or bad, it's up to taste really. For me, it felt kind of hard to control Sora a bit, because if I just wanted to move slightly to the left while going upwards, I had to make sure I didn't like flick the analog stick all the way, which is kind of tough. But I think it's just all about just getting used to the controls, which, you know, since this is being the first time I'm playing Kingdom Hearts 3, you know, I just have to learn to get used to it. So after repeated playthroughs of the demo, it became relatively easier and a bit more natural, but still at the same time, and it's still a bit weird, but who knows, maybe when the final game releases it'll be more smoothly. For this has been the demo that people have been playing for like over a year now, so I'm sure a lot of things have changed since then. Then after that, I basically went into a small area where I fought some Heartless, just basic shadow and fly enemies. Died very quickly. I got to try out the shot lock command for the Kingdom Key, which was Ragnarok. Basically a move where you just shoot a bunch of like lasers, something like that, some flares or whatever at a bunch of Heartless or whatever. And I also tested the alternate move, which basically allows you to just warp to Heartlesses, and you basically you sort of what's what I'm looking for. It's the athletic flow, which, you know, it's from Dream Drop but nerfed heavily, where you run against you go against a wall, you can jump off it and then just do like a slam attack, whatever. It was sort of the same thing with a shot lock, but you just teleport to a bunch of Heartless and you just sort of like move your way across the wall like that if you want or whatever. But it was good. It really allows you to get in close, and after you land on a target you want to be on, you press attack and sort of this huge AoE spin that, you know, either kills or pushes back Heartless, and then he can just finish off with like a ground pound, which again creates a huge AoE to push back enemies or defeat any Heartless that are low enough. So that stuff I thought was pretty useful in taking out big crowds of Heartless. Unfortunately though, you know, in the Hercules demo or the Olympus demo, there's not many Heartless to fight anyways, so it's probably like 10 or 15 Heartless, and they can die pretty quick. This is like early in the game, so there's not really much you can do in terms of combat here. But I also got to test out the basic combo you have with the Kingdom Key, and it really shows like the floatiness of the combat. But since this is early in the game, I believe later on in the game the combos get better. But I feel as though that Sora's base combo, just alter, is gonna probably be the same throughout the whole game. It might change up a bit, but from what it looks like Sora's moves probably was sick throughout the rest of the game. And the reason why I say that is because Sora gets very similar combos even in the Toy Box demo, but there's some additions to the combo that might prove otherwise. But Sora's base combo is very it's definitely not fast paced or anything like that like in KH2, but it's definitely better than Aqua's combo in 0.2. And the finisher, even though it is very laggy in terms of like earning the animation for a long time, the AoE hitbox for his finisher is massive, and I'm also surprised the amount of enemies it did hit. So at least, even though it does have a long animation, the AoE is big enough to hurt targets around you, so at least it keeps you safe, which is a good thing for a long animation. But I feel like again, it's still just getting used to the new direction they're going with the combat. So I feel like if I just get used to it, it might seem a bit better. But coming off of KH2, which in my opinion has the best combat of all the games in the series, it'll just take some getting used to. I believe. Magic is still good. Situation commands appear just sort of randomly. I didn't have to do anything. They just sort of popped up, which people who have played the demo have been saying that. So like for example, Donald's like duck flare just came out of nowhere. Same thing with Goofy's launcher thing. They were helpful abilities, but it just felt like I just got them out of nowhere, which was kind of weird. And it also went on to the Toy Box demo where I just got the Buzz and Woody Rocket Ruckus command just out of nowhere without having to do anything. Even in points where there was no enemies around, they just sort of happened. So I thought that was kind of weird. It'd been fine if it was in combat, but even if it's outside of combat, it just happens. It's just sort of distracting. It's just sort of like, alright, thanks for, I didn't do anything. But I'm sure you're probably able to toggle certain situation commands, because the menu will start to clutter up with different situation commands, and that could be a bit of a cluster. So I don't know, hopefully you'll be able to toggle some of that. I also was able to test out, speaking of which, Sora's second form, which is the quote-unquote, I guess, Keyblade transformation of the Kingdom Key. Since the Kingdom Key doesn't have a transformation, you just go into second form, which is when Sora goes into his I mean, he's already in his KH2 attire, but if it was KH3, his clothes would change to the color of his KH2 attire, and he'll start dishing out moves from both Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2. And throughout the form, you will randomly get to finish off with one of his signature abilities from either game. It's random at the start, and then I guess it changes whenever you do a finisher or something like that. I don't know how that exactly works, but it just happens every now and then. But but what's cool is that when he goes to second form, he does feel a little faster. Since it is his KH2 moveset, he does feel a little faster. The camera pans out when he's doing like the magnet burst ability. The camera pans out to show like the grandness of it or whatever. So something like that. There's some like camera things going on whenever you're trying to be flashing everything, which depending on the size of the area could be a problem. So but you might be able to play around with that when the full game releases. But the second form was pretty good, pretty handy, and honestly, like it honestly makes the combat a little faster, which is pretty neat. And it sort of makes Sora's quote-unquote, I guess, that base combo better because it's harking back to his KH2 combat style. So I don't know. So it was pretty handy. So I guess that's pretty much for the Hercules demo, and then you run up the wall against the Rock Titan. You run up the wall, you take his feet, and something that fight was able to show was that you take what was it? So when you're fighting it slams down, to do all these attacks on you to get you off. And at first it's easy when you try to take out the 1 foot because it's just trying to stomp on you. It's not really doing anything, so it's easy to block. But then once you take out 1 foot and you start going for the other foot, it starts going like on a rampage with the stomping, and it's sort of hard to kind of like predict when to block. And even when you think you block, you still get hit, and then you get knocked off the side. You could fall off, and fortunate enough, hopefully you can just run back onto the wall. So it knocks you off of where you're fighting the Titan, and you could just easily run back onto the wall, just dash towards the wall, and if you're gonna stomp on it, like athletic football, just stay on it and you just walk right back up it. So at least you can recover. But the it's really hard to sort of protect yourself in this one against like big AoE attacks or stuff like that. And the combat, the flowiness of the combat can make it an issue for situations like that. When you're playing other difficulties such as like probably like standard, maybe even proud, you might be able to get away with it. But on most like critical, I'm not too sure. Especially if this is an early game boss, and I took like decent damage. It wasn't too much, but it was decent damage. And I would think that it will probably double on critical, especially if you're doing level 1. It'll probably be really bad. So I really don't know about that. But so once you take out both legs, you climb up it, you take out its head, and then you can just fight off regularly with the Keyblade, or you can activate the attraction flow, which summons pretty much the Big Thunder Mountain ride. Basically, you go around it, you shoot its hands, destroying it near you. Then you finish it off, and that's the end of the demo. So the Olympus demo didn't really give too much information in terms of just the game overall. Oh, and I forgot to talk about the summons in this game. I think they're called links now. The one in the Hercules demo was the Meow Wow, which is it's a Dream Eater from Dream Drop Distance. I didn't test it on a fight because I totally forgot about it, but I summoned it anyways just to see, and it looked like it would be pretty useful. So I mean, that's all I gotta say about that. But yeah, the Hercules didn't really show off too much in terms of the gameplay, other than probably Sora's base combo and the second form. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But the big one was the toy box demo, and that was the one I studied and played around with the most. So I'm not gonna go into too much detail about the cutscenes, since it's kind of spoilery. Don't really give up much information, but I gotta say I did watch it the second time around, and I like how Disney, or I guess like Pixar and the Kingdom Hearts sort of mix in here, and the humor is back in Kingdom Hearts 3. It's funny, seeing all these characters interact, and the cutscene was really nice and touching. It all just kind of flows like how it did in the past Kingdom Hearts game. You actually feel like you fit in with the world. So let's get on that front. So let's get to the gameplay, because this one is bigger in terms of the gameplay. Now this time around, you get 3 different Keyblades to try. You get the Toy Story Keyblade, the Monsters Inc. Keyblade, and the Tangle Keyblade. I was able to test out all 3, and well, before I get to that, I'm talking a little more about the world. So basically, first of all, Toy Story looks beautiful, gorgeous, and the attention to detail on things is astounding. Like, to the point where I can see all the little etches on Woody's chin and everything, and Andy written on Buzz and Woody's foot. There's just a lot of detail, and you can tell that when it comes to the worlds, Square has definitely done above and beyond to make you feel like you're part of that world, and that the world just fits in the game. Done an amazing job with the detail. So out of the gate, Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be the most gorgeous and most detailed of all the games in the series. So that's already a plus there. There's nothing really negative about it. It's one of the most positive things about what I played throughout both demos, for sure. But now we're talking about the gameplay. So I say try 3 different Keyblades. So I tested out all 3 Keyblades, and probably my least favorite by far is the Toy Story Keyblade. Unfortunately, the transformation for the Keyblade. So all the base combos are the same for all 3 Keyblades. That was back in the Hercules demo, with an exception I think of a double or triple jab. It sort of does like as a second hit. And it feels like Sora homes in a little better. But so with the Twister Keyblade, it goes from a hammer to a power drill the Sora uses. And basically, this Keyblade to me is too slow. Really. It does a good amount of damage and it covers a lot. It's big on the AoE. You know, you just keep slamming the hammer back and forth, and then with the drill you do the same thing. You're drilling constantly and has a big AoE. And but it's just too slow for me personally. The only time we're seeing that it goes really fast is when you go into the air and you need to go on a target. Sora like does like a bunch of flips towards the enemy while swinging the hammer like as he's flipping forward, and it looks really good. And probably the only thing I think the hammer would be good for is to send enemies upward, because during the combo it has, I guess it staggers a lot easier. And it just sends the Heartless just like flying up, and I actually used it against these toy mech things that you have to fight down towards the end of the demo, and it actually staggers them pretty well, and then launches them like away from Sora, and Sora can actually go in and do a follow-up, which is pretty good. So I guess in terms of going against large enemies is pretty helpful, and maybe some mobs. But other than that, the Keyblade's just too slow for me, and honestly the other two Keyblades offer a lot more benefit in my opinion. So I'd rather just use those. The Tangled and the Monster Inc. ones were by far my favorite. I can't tell which one is my favorite, to be honest, because I like them both. But I'll talk about them anyways. And the detail with those, which and another thing is that the magic for the Keyblades sort of changed. So like for example, normally when you cast fire, it goes out as a fireball, but when you use fire with the Toy Story Keyblade, when it's turned to a hammer, the fire turns to an AoE attack around you, which is pretty cool. When the opposite here with the Monsters Inc. Keyblade, it turns into like two like claw drill things or whatever, which it makes Sora really fast and does a lot of spins around him to sort of have like constant AoE damage around him, so if anything gets close he's always hitting something. And then it turned to yo-yos, which I think was a really cool idea, and probably why I really love this Keyblade besides its design. When it turns to the yo-yos, if you cast fire there, it turns into smaller fireballs that home in on multiple targets, which is really cool. So you do have different options when picking certain Keyblades, which I really like, and it adds a lot of variety to it. So like I said, turns drill claws and then into yo-yos, which do a good amount of damage and hit a lot of things around you, which is really good. So, and then you have the Tangle Keyblade, which turns into like a thing called Mirage Staff, and this thing is crazy. It does it like you're moving around like all swift, and like you're just having magic just surrounding you as you're moving and attacking Heartless, and it just feels like nothing could touch you. And when you're using the air, you just stay in the air. And what's cool is that there's like little details, like for example, if you get the Toy Story Keyblade transformed to that one giant drill, when you dodge roll, you actually go underground and you pop back up. So, you know, it allows you to have more invincibility when you dodge, which is really cool. With the Mirage Staff, when you add into the staff form and you're in combat and you air dash, you actually ride the staff for a small period of time, and it's really cool. It's like little details when you have the Keyblades transformed, which, you know, adds a lot. Like I said, there's a lot of detail in this game. What else? So, and the finishes for all of them are really cool, really neat. I like them all on all three Keyblades. And what's cool is that if you're using one Keyblade, you can actually switch over to another one automatically, and if you go back to that Keyblade, it actually keeps the transformation it was at, as well as the meter where it stopped at right before you switched. so you can always mix around with the different keyblades and the transformations to do various different things, you know, create some crazy combination with both magic and attacking. So they do give you a lot of variety with these different keyblades, which I really do like. I think this time around, in terms of keyblades and keyblade transformations and all these different abilities and stuff, is definitely going to be one of the best in this series, in my personal opinion, because I really dig the keyblade transformation, and I can't wait to see what later keyblades in the game offer. And it'll make it easier to see which keyblades fit in certain situations, and like which are the 3 best keyblades to keep with you, and how they can benefit you. So I really like the choices that they give us here. I also tested out the summons, or I guess links again. This time around, you get 2 different links. You get Ariel from Little Mermaid and Wreck-It Ralph. Wreck-It Ralph seems whatever. Definitely can see him used in a boss fight. He's literally more so for like mobs and like a bunch of enemies around you. I can see him useful there. But even then, I feel like it'd just be useful just to use Ariel. Ariel pretty much. So really quick, what Wreck-It Ralph does is that he builds like certain structures that shoot out light, and if there's a heartless or enemy in the light, then they get frozen there. And then once you then you can press triangle to finish it, and Ralph wrecks and destroys all of the structures that you made, and it pretty much does damage to whoever is near them. And then with Ariel, you pretty much go in and out of the ground as like water, and you leave like a trail behind you, and it rewards you with if you time it more perfectly, then you release all these little splashes everywhere, and these splashes actually hurt the enemy. And once you finish off, there's gonna be wherever trail you left behind, it's gonna follow you, and anyone caught in that trail that you left behind, or all the water you left behind, will take additional damage. So there's just damage upon damage upon damage that you're dealing to enemies, which is really good. The only downside is that you can get hurt when you're going up and then you're going down. So that could be the only thing. I think with Wreck-It Ralph you might be invincible, I'm not too sure, but at least there's like a risk versus reward thing here. You're invincible, I think you are. I can't remember because I only used the Wreck-It Ralph one once, and it wasn't doing me. The Little Mermaid one though was fun to use, but you do have a chance of getting hit when doing it. Fortunately though, it just causes you your MP. You know, it doesn't cost anything else, which is good. So you know, you can kind of risk. You can use magic, or you can use a link. It's up to you. So there's that. What else? Well, the Gigas fight was pretty entertaining. You get to also go on the toy mechs if you choose to, and you know, the toy mechs are pretty powerful. There's 3 of them. There's the purple one which shoots out 2 cannons. There's the blue one that shoots out, also it shoots like balls everywhere that explode, and then the red one does like a tackle attack. Those are the uniqueness of each one. But other than that, they just do the same thing. They shoot, they punch, and they dash around and jump and all that. But they're pretty fun and entertaining to use. You definitely want to use them against other mechs because you will get your butt beat if you just fight them outside the mech. I tried doing it. It worked for a little bit, but then after a while, I just had to go back into a mech just to finish it off because I've just been wasting too much time. Another thing to note with the keyblades is that the shot locks are different for each keyblade. The Toy Story one, when you use your shot lock completely, then you just drill to all the enemies, like in like a beam of light or something like that. With the Monsters Inc. keyblade, which is probably my favorite one, you call out your yo-yos and they just come out through portals and attack all the enemies you're locked on to, just instant. And then the Tango Keyblade, you sort of have like these light mirror things come up, and then the lights bounce off of all the mirror things and all the targets. Very very cool, and they do again a lot of damage. Um, Another thing to talk about is the react what's it called, situation command, whatever it is, with Buzz and Woody, Rocket Ruckus. It's alright. It does a good amount of damage, but to me, I feel like, I don't know, I only tried it once. I'd rather just go in there with Keyblade and just start fighting things. But it was good. It was a bit hard to get used to the controls at first, but after a while you start kind of managing and you just use it. I also tried out the teacups, which is a attraction flow that you can call up, again, somewhat randomly. But if you see a heartless or enemy with like a green circle around them, if you hit them enough times, you'll call in the attraction, or you have the option pop up. And for me, the mad teacups pop up. Pretty fun to use. Wiped out a lot of the enemies, so I just sort of just want to finish it because I also want to try out the Keyblades a little more. But I got the gist of the teacups. They're pretty helpful and really good. And then I tried the pirate ship, which is another attraction flow, but that one's kind of boring because you're just stationary and it's not that fun to use. So hopefully you can disable certain attraction flows in the menu somehow, because apparently it's based on like the area in certain attraction flows will appear. So I mean, if you could take off like the pirate one, for example, then that'll be fine to do. What else? Oh, another thing that was pretty cool, just about the world in general, is that a lot of the chests are hidden pretty well. Which, I'm not saying that the Kingdom Hearts games had, you know, bad hidden chests before, but this time around the chests, you know, are in pretty good hiding spots. So it really shows that Kingdom Hearts is going for this verticality, or doing special requirements on like a chest. Like for example, there is a tool chest that has a chest in there, but in order to get it, you actually have to jump from a high point and slam down it to break the toolbox open to get to the chest, which had an elixir in it. So, you know, it's cool that you're going to interact with the environments like in KH3 in order to get to certain areas or certain collectibles, which I think is cool. And also what's cool is that the dialogue boxes for the characters, when you speak to them normally pressing triangle, is gone. Now it's just the characters just speak to you and you see the text there. You know, you don't have to read nothing, it's just said to you with the voices of the characters, which I really dig. I think that's pretty much it. I really did enjoy playing through the toy box demo the most for obvious reasons. I definitely did get some tests in for it, but probably the biggest thing from the demo itself, and what was part concerned to me the most, was the floatiness. And really quick, what it means to be floaty is basically, you know, basically sticking, you're doing a combo or something and you just stay in the air for too long, or the animation lasts too long where it leaves you open to get hit. In Kingdom Hearts 2, they had moves like that were laggy and had long animations, but you were pretty much protected because you were surrounded by damage. So like if someone got near you, they will get hurt, so you were protected. And if not, the animations were fast and snappy, and you wouldn't stay in the air for too long. You sort of go down, because, you know, when you're in the air, you're vulnerable. In this game, that was the main concern, where people feel like you're in the air for too much. Where the game does still feel floaty, I do think that the floatiness is a bit over exaggerated. Granted, it really wasn't, the game wasn't difficult. Obviously, I mean, I have played Kingdom Hearts before, so, you know, maybe there's just some experience there, I'm not sure. And I played 0.2 prior to playing the Kingdom Hearts 3 demo, so I'm not too sure on there as well. But the floatiness wasn't too bad in Kingdom Hearts, at least in the demo that I played. You know, I can still tell the difference between this and 2, and I mean, I'm not gonna be mad at the game if this is like the direction they want to go with the combat, because I did enjoy it. I did enjoy playing it. It just was all about getting used to. So the only concern I would have with the combat will be on higher difficulties and level 1 playthroughs, because in KH2 I like doing level 1 playthrough because it was very challenging, but it was doable because of the combat. So I'm hoping it's doable in Kingdom Hearts 3 as well. But honestly, I didn't mind the floatiness too much. In the Hercules demo, it was a lot more noticeable because Sora would whiff a lot. Then again, he had Combo Master, so allowed him to recover more. I'm not sure if you get Combo Master in when the full game releases, and I don't know if it will stick with you, because in 0.2 on critical mode you lost Combo Master, and it was really not appealing to fight with the Keyblade, because if you whiff, you missed hard and you were wide open for an attack, which, I mean, yes, I understand it's your fault for missing, but at the same time, when you're used to Kingdom Hearts 2, it affects you heavily, and you know, it doesn't feel fun to just whiff an enemy and miss them just by a little bit, and then you get punched extremely heavy for it too. So I'm not exactly sure the direction KH3 is going to go with the combat, in terms of if it's going to be like 0.2 or if it's going to be a just better fixed version of 0.2, but we'll have to see. Fortunately, when Sora's in the air, he can guard, and honestly, in the middle combo, dodge rolling or air dashing away is a breeze. So at least it has that going for it. So if there is a time where you probably feel like you need to get away by pressing square, it's a breeze, and it makes it seem like it's fast, but I don't know if it is, because there be some few occasions where I get hit off to the side from a random enemy, and I get hit because I couldn't see the enemy. So I don't know. But my thoughts on the combat right now, I think it's good. On higher difficulties, I can't really say. Again, I have to wait till the full game comes out. But overall, my experience with Kingdom Hearts 3 was a pretty fun and enjoyable one. I was smiling from ear to ear, playing both the Hercules demo and the Toy Box demo. I really enjoyed both of them a lot, especially the Toy Box one, where I had more time and had more fun playing, because I had a lot of options, different things to mess with and everything. So I think in terms of the fun factor for Kingdom Hearts 3, I think it's definitely there with all the options they give you, just like in past games and the numbered titles. You had many different options, different things you can do, and this game really shows that we won't have everything yet, and I already feel like it's a lot that I can do, a lot of options that are given to me. Just really the only concern now is how the combat will be towards the end of the game, and on higher difficulties. Will it be a lot harder to play Kingdom Hearts 3? Will we have to play more cautionally? We don't know. So, but overall, my analysis on Kingdom Hearts 3 so far, with just a demo that's been out for like a year now, so things could probably change by then, has been overall positive. You know, consider that, take that what you will. You know, obviously there's some bias with it for me being a fan of the series. So, you know, I was going there with some expectations and of tests and everything, and from what I got, I was happy with what I was able to get. So overall, Kingdom Hearts 3 is looking good. Again, had to wait for the full release to see the final product, but yeah, that's pretty much my take on the Kingdom Hearts 3 pop-up experience event. And yeah, hopefully when January 29th comes, it's gonna be a great one. So alright, see ya.